Thank you so much for being here. I'm Rabbi Daniel Lappin, and thanks for sending your questions in to my website. Here is such an important question. My question is short and basic, writes Colter. What does the Bible teach about punishment for children? My wife and I are expecting our first child. We are not in agreement with the idea of physical punishment. We need guidance to what Scripture says about spanking your children. Please help. And this was from Colter. Well, Colter, a number of years back, a couple came to consult with me, and here's what they said. They said, we've just celebrated our child's second birthday, and we want to know when is the right time to begin our child's education. And here, Colter, is what I answered those parents. I said, I'm sorry to have to tell you, you're late. As a matter of fact, you are 2 years and 9 months late. The time to begin educating your children is as soon as you discover that you are expecting. And they were a little bit puzzled by that, as well you might be too. And I explain that God gives us a 9-month preparation period before our children arrive in order to do what? Exactly what you and your wife are trying to do, get on the same page. Because in educating your children, one of the very first things that you've got to do is be on the same page. Now, that doesn't mean you automatically agree with one another on everything, but what it does mean is that through your children's eyes, they only see a united front. They're never able to drive a wedge between husband and wife, between mother and father. I cannot emphasize this sufficiently importantly. If anybody listening is in this trap, it's never too late to change. You make absolutely sure that you always speak to your children as we, your mother and I, your father and I, we believe, we are going to say this. There is only a unified front, and clearly in this area of discipline, you have to do it as well. Now, let's view spanking not as a subject all on its own, but let's see it as part of the spectrum line of discipline. And let's remember what the word discipline means. It's from the English word disciple. You want your children to become your disciples. And one of the surest ways of that happening is for your children to model your behavior. That's what they do, right? The first toy, the most popular toy all our children liked is a telephone, right? Because they saw my wife and I conducting our ministry very often through the telephone. You've got 9 months or less now perhaps to make sure that you are not only on the same page, but that you behave in the presence of your children in exactly the way you want them to model. And there are many aspects of discipline before you get to spanking. And you're going to work out what those are, whether they are a timeout. Again, there are many books, you don't need me to tell you that. But what you do need to realize is that spanking is part of what has to be administered rarely and occasionally, and not with every child, but always with compassion. The verse in Proverbs, 13:24, I think it is, which is often used as the basis for the expression, spare the rod and spoil the child, it implies that this is far more prevalent. You shouldn't have to spank very often. You really shouldn't. The raising of a child is through love and attention and being there and modeling. And yes, on occasion, if necessary, spanking, but never as an expression of your anger and frustration. Don't ever even slap a child, even gently, if you are feeling anger at the moment. The only time to administer a spanking is when you are incredibly calm and filled only with love and concern for your child. May God shower your family with great blessings which you deserve by showing this level of concern even before your child is born. You are busy educating your child even now, just as you ought to be doing, Colter. Blessings to you and your wife. I'm Rabbi Daniel Lappin, wishing you good times with your family, with your friendships, with your faith, and with your finances.